that will then help them to pass their examinations, especially those of them in the arts and the humanities, is to bring them up properly to speak excellent English.
Yeah.
But the mistake we are making is to assume that a child can actually have a grasp of excellent English when you speak English exclusively to him. I think it's a very stupid way to reason.
Because I understand the graph you are painting. But you see, at school, the instruction is in English. At home, this is where the child needs the mother tongue. But many parents across watching us and listening to us are guilty of it.
That is where I'm going. You know, I'm saying that we think that the best way to get it, because your question was, are we proud
of our language?
And I said, look, a good number of us are not proud of our mother tongue. If you are proud of your mother tongue, you'll be happy to bequeath it to your own offspring.
That's it.
Teaching your children to speak English exclusively in your home, I don't think it makes sense. Some of us made that mistake, and when I look back now, I just ask myself, what was I thinking?
Idea?
What was I thinking? Because now that they are little grown up, we are constrained to speak English to them, just like my grandmother. My grandmother, she's dead now, but back then, whenever she came to Lagos to stay with my uncle, of course, he could not speak English, so he would rather speak
her tongue.
Not even our own dialect.
Okay.
You know, a variant of the Yoruba language was what she would speak to those children. And those children, if she spoke to them a million times, they would understand what the woman was saying. So the point that I'm trying to make is children need to be taught their mother tongue by the parents. Yeah. We can't leave it to the teachers alone, because if you had been teaching your own children to speak your language, then it becomes easier for teachers who have to enforce this policy now, using the mother tongue as the medium of instruction in schools. So the mistake that some of us made, I would not want others to make, because what do you achieve at the end of the day? The first special report in my time here at TVC, the first special report that I got one of my staff to do was on the fear of extinction of our language. And the English, Igbo language as well as the Yoruba language were the two languages that we surveyed. And I remember the first visuals that I saw. This boy could not speak a word of the Igbo language, yes. But immediately, the interviewer switched to English. The guy just became extremely excited. He now began to talk like a chatterbox. You know, so you cannot blame that child, because that was, even some parents who struggle to speak good English, you still see them, is that same English. Is that smattering English that they are trying to
pushing down the throat of the child.
Yes, they are force feeding the child.
And Emeka, many of them do it outside just to impress you, but not knowing they are depressing you.
Yeah, there are times I've maybe met with people out there, and I communicated, because I understand Yoruba, I understand Igbo, and I spoke. And somebody was replying me in English, and I said, "Do I look like I can't speak English?" I deliberately spoke in this language so that we could converse. What's this?
What's your point?
What is this? So now, it's unfortunate that all of our languages are gradually disappearing.
Oh yeah.
I think there was even a report one time that one Nigerian language had disappeared. Maybe somewhere in Edo State also. Nigerian languages are disappearing. And the interesting thing is that in some countries, like the United States, like China, they're actually studying some Nigerian languages.
They even come here to learn more.
They come here on exchange programs to learn more. So, I spent part of my growing up years in Lagos. I didn't really pick Yoruba language then. Even Igbo was along the way. By the time I got to the university, I smoothed in my Igbo to a large extent. But when I found out I would, have to work in Lagos, on the streets, that, of course, I'll be a journalist, on the streets.
Became streetwise.
You know what I just told myself? I said, oh boy, you have to go and learn Yoruba language. Because you wouldn't be going out, to mix with the folks, and you will need an interpreter to tell you. Then you now come back to the newsroom to start writing what you are not really sure of. So I did that as an existential, tool. But what I'm saying is that beyond just putting the burden on the primary schools, look at the issue of, when you are required, one of the 6, I think, compulsory credits you're required to have in WAEC and NECO is English. How about projecting that, okay, you add the Nigerian language to it? Yes, it's studied, Nigerian languages, some Nigerian languages are studied as subjects. But how about you add that, okay, you should have a credit in a Nigerian language?
Especially for those
to drive it home.
the arts.
Even all, because with this, China and a number of these other countries, India, they've been able to develop their language in such a way that they can explain a lot of things in their own languages, in Mandarin and others. We should be looking forward to, maybe in the next 50, 100 years.
Let me tell you a little story.
Of us being able to do that.
A little story, Jide, this might be interesting to you. When I was on radio, one of my colleagues sent the son to do the IT here. And as soon as okay, this is your son is coming, the boy came, and I spoke my language. For how are you? He said, sorry, sir, I don't. I said, then you are not this man's son. Go and bring your father. The father came the next day. I said, this is not your son. Why did you tell me? But the guy can't speak a word of the... He said, but that's my problem. And that's the problem, as you said, with many parents across the length and breadth of the country.
Yes. So we brought this on our children who can... You even to pronounce words. When you are... I'm a music coordinator in church. I write songs for my church. And I like to teach them Yoruba songs. When Yoruba songs are a little difficult for me to teach in the choir because they must pronounce those words the right way. But a child not brought up to speak the Yoruba language
will find it difficult.
You do what you call fojo pojo. You understand my lingo? Afi ojo, pe ojo.
Okay.
Yes.
O-J-O.
Ojo. Afi ojo, pe ojo. It will pronounce rain. That is ojo.
For the name ojo.
As ojo. Because, one, they are not familiar with those words. Then they are not familiar with the right pronunciation of Yoruba words. And when you pronounce it wrongly, it gives a different meaning. So we can spend hours on that one, trying to make sure that across the board that they get it right. It can be really frustrating. Sometimes I feel like spanking them. But, again, you cannot blame these people. I wish that what we are just starting today, what government, this new policy had been instituted a long time ago, we will have saved our language, because at the rate we are going, if we are not careful, these languages will die incrementally, because some words look to be really extinct. There are some words now that I can ask some Yoruba, so-called Yoruba boys, to say, what's the meaning of this word? They won't know, because it does not feature in their day-to-day communication, even in the language.
Wow.
You know, so there's a lot that needs to be done. I'm happy that government said, okay, the way it is now, the dominant language in the community where that school is located will be the language
of that community.
Yes. Lagos already instituted that some time ago.
It did.
The Lagos State House of Assembly dedicates Thursday to using Yoruba.
Deliberations
to their plenary, they do everything in Yoruba. I mean, so the Speaker, Obasa, must be really proud where he is now, because the sort of thing that they started, you can see that is growing. Because they also came up with the law that Yoruba must be taught in Lagos schools.
Yeah.
You see, so a good turn deserves another.
Every language or dialect has its nuances. So allowing the language or the dialect to be the mainstay of instruction in that environment does the environment a lot of good.
Yes, and as a Christian, I can say that it's great to even praise God in our languages more than, it's better than in English.
BKO and Emeka, let me indulge you a little. Ibibi song. Please don't go to court.
I wish I understood. Because if you were abusing us now, we won't.
No. Before you get the interpretation, I would have been gone from here. All right, let's go to the next story. You know, news reaching us say gunmen suspected to be kidnappers have reportedly seized a driver and 18 passengers on a bus plying the Anyemba Itobe Road in Ochadamu. I hope I'm getting these names right. Ochadamu area of Ofu local government area of Kogi State. That's a Jide State. Now, the menace of kidnapping on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway has drawn the anger of the Are on Okakamfo of Yoruba land, Iba, Gani, Adams. I hope I got that right? Yeah. Now, the traditional generalissimo, while admitting that incessant attacks on the expressway were not unexpected, his often raised alarms were neglected. Now, Gani Adams was elected to lead the frontal attack on kidnappers in conjunction with the Southwest Security Stakeholders Group. When men and women and mountains meet, great things are done, Emeka.
That's true. It's a matter of fact that dealing with these crimes needs to be drilled down to the grassroots. Understand there's a bill on vigilante bill before the National Assembly. We should get more of our people engaged in security duties, because there's so much that the police can do, the civil defense, DSS, the military can do. There are certain, if you travel regularly in Nigeria, you know that Nigeria is such a big country. There are many places that the police cannot reach. So you need the natives of the locals in those areas to be a part of the security, and which is what Gani Adams has been saying, that you should make us, let us participate in the patrols. Let there be joint patrols. But you see, the problem is this issue of ego. Okay, who are they? How can these ordinary people participate with us? You see in certain states where the police and the vigilantes should work together. You see the police, they have their own checkpoints. The vigilantes have checkpoints in the interior. This issue of crime on highways in Kogi State did not just start today. It's been there a long time. I remember one time, some years ago, when I traveled with a friend to Kogi State, we saw hunters on some road. I was asking him, who are these people? He said, they are the ones that keep this road safe. If not, it will be difficult. We are back. And he said, otherwise, it will be difficult to travel on this road. So, whether it's Kogi, whether it's Kwara, all these things, these people have seen kidnapping as a lucrative business.
Oh, yeah.
So they are spreading. They are moving in different places. In conjunction with the locals, they get to an area, they recruit the locals. Once they mention some good money, you find some criminal elements to join them. So you must also use locals. You must use people who are conversant with the terrain, conversant with certain things. to fight this crime. It's not just the security agencies that can deal with this crime, especially kidnapping.
Yeah, Jide, so having the RL Ono Kakamfo deploying himself, agreeing to be a part of the solution, we might get somewhere.
Yes, I mean, and I've used the example of Ikorodu. There was a time when ritual killing was so rampant in Ikorodu, they smash someone's head, you know. Almost every day you get reports that people had been killed and all that. And Gani Adams had to then work with the police at that time. They had joint patrols with the police.
Yeah, sorry, we have a Bayo has joined us from Kwara. Bayo, good evening to you. Hello, Bayo, are you there? All right, no luck, as you were saying.
Yes, they patrolled the community at midnight with the police, and they were able to haul in some of the bad boys. Today, in fact, after that patrol with the police, the specter of ritual killings in Ikorodu that became a big problem, I'm talking about, I think almost 5 years ago, came to an end. It came to an end naturally. Because they know, you remember that time? Yes.
That orgy, yeah.
You know, it was on this program that we challenged him.
That's it.
We challenged him to get involved, to find a solution. And he listened to us, went to the police, offered to get his men involved in patrolling the area and identifying the bad boys. And that was what happened. It came to an end. It came to an end. What we are talking about, I think it was in 2016 or 2017. I can't remember.
For that orgy,
yes,
you know.
and at that time, almost every day when we wake up, we hear that somebody had been killed. In fact, one guy was killed. You know, I think his car broke down, or we wanted to go and fix his car or something, and then they got hold of him and killed him. And the guy, if I remember very well, was an events planner or a musician, you know, and he was killed. That was the last major killing that happened, because once the OPC got to work with the police, this whole thing stopped. They understand the terrain much better than the security agencies. Why are we succeeding in terms of fighting crime in a state like Ondo State? It's because in Ondo State, we see the Amotekun and the police working hand in hand,
side by
joint
side.
patrols. They arrest, they hand over, you know, and in some cases, they prosecute people on their own. So, if not because of that, because Ondo is like the gateway of the southwest to the north,
yeah.
you know, through Kogi State,
Yeah.
you know, and I think even Edo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ondo,
So
yes.
if we do not deal with the situation, if Ondo, for example, had not been very aggressive in helping us to tackle these cross-border criminals, honestly, we will have been much bigger.
But you
trouble.
know, I may be wrong, but I think that kidnapping appears to be the easier way out, because armed robbery, Emeka, seems to have gone.
It's more difficult.
In kidnapping,
There is still armed robbery, but armed robbery will not even fetch you the kind of money
that kidnapping does.
Look at what happened with the train passengers. They were made to pay 100 million each.
Somebody will pay 200 million.
The Pakistani amongst them paid 200 million. This is what we are told from
cash,
even
over a billion.
it's the
hard
dollars.
cash.
It's dollars that you bring. They will tell you, don't change the money in one location. Go to different bureau de change operators and bring the money. They are not going to talk to your family members if the money is not complete. They will count it. So with the dollars, it's easy for them to move around, and they can easily buy weapons in the black market with the dollars. Nobody would want to go to Niger or even Libya with Nigerian currency, for
Yeah.
example. So it's a lot easier for them, and it's dollars that they got from our
I
people.
hear some of them even prefer the new notes that's not in
They're even
circulation.
holding, I understand, they are holding some people in Zamfara as we speak.
No, they'll wait until the new notes out before they release their routines.
In Zamfara. It's unfortunate.
You know,
I just hope that, because if you have read the story very well, this Ochadamu earlier,
Yeah.
they said there used to be a checkpoint, a military checkpoint in that area, which brought down the rate of kidnapping. But there was an accident in which so many people died and about 20 cows were destroyed. Because of that, maybe word went out that the checkpoint should be dismantled. And after that checkpoint was dismantled, these people have been terrorizing people in the area.
Boy.
Since it's a place already notorious for this kind of crime, it makes sense to deploy soldiers or even mobile policemen who will be well armed to the area. But of course, even if we do that, they'll move to another location. That's the...
except that I'm reminded at this point of the words of a criminologist who said, society prepares the crime, the criminal commits it.
Yeah, just like on the Long Bridge. For many years, there have been reports of attacks.
The Long Bridge, yeah.
On the Long Bridge, yes, on the Long Bridge.
Between
But what did
Beja.
government really do about it? What did security agencies do about it? You have a vigilante group of Nigeria. States, many states have vigilantes. Why are the security agencies not doing much more to empower them, in this fight against crime? Now, these people have moved further down on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, kidnapping people, attacking passing vehicles. They can be dealt
And
with.
especially now in that traffic gridlock is commonplace on that route.
Yes, on the Long
more
Bridge.
and more people are falling victim, because
The Long Bridge.
once you are stuck in traffic, you are at the mercy of those boys. They will smash your windshields, they will destroy your windows, and then steal your car.
But I have to quickly just observe. The one way, the same police that cannot guard people, they have like 4 or 5 checkpoints early in the morning, or for people running one way. So what are you there doing when you cannot? I mean, you're supposed to safeguard the expressway, but what are you doing?
Okay, that's a story regarding the kidnapping wahala on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. But let me say to Iba Are Gani Adams, welcome. Please help your country. The Lagos-Ibadan Expressway is the busiest route in West Africa.
Yes.
All right, we'll take a break now and return a while later. Please don't go away.
Everyone has a Chivita this season. What's your Chivita?
I've had a lot of people ask, what is Nigeria's business building a railway line into Maradi, which is in Niger Republic? Right from time immemorial, the very foundation of wealth creation is trade. We can all cast our minds back to our history classes, where we learned about the trans-Saharan trade that has created multi-billionaires of those days, who probably will be multi-trillionaires these days. Okay? And that trans-Saharan trade is what is reflected here. We are supposed to have a train that can go from Lagos all the way to Algiers and connect to Europe. Now, Niger is supposed to continue from Maradi up to its border.
This message is brought to you from the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture.
All right, then, to our next story. Let's tell you that a visibly miffed President Muhammadu Buhari blasted state governors, accusing them of stealing local government funds. An enraged #1 citizen told his audience at the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, It beats anyone's imagination how some governors collected money on behalf of the council areas in their states only to remit just 1/2 of such allocation to the council chairman, who would further deplete the remittance by pilfering it, end quote. Now, need I say more? But first, let's share the reaction of Rivers State Governor Wike concerning this. Sit back, please.
I want to challenge Mr. President. Mr. President, you're a leader, and we believe as leaders, you must come out and tell Nigerians who are those committing this offense. You said the governors are taking local government funds. I want to say, in the name of Almighty God, I've never touched local government fund one day. I have never, and I have no reason to do that. So, Mr. President, tell us who are those people. You know them, tell us. It is not good to say what we call class defamation. You say governors. Please, I'm not one of those governors. I'm not. I'm not. So, Mr. President, please spare me. Tell Nigerians that the integrity governors are not part of them. We have integrity. We're not part of them. And do us a favor to announce all those states that are taking local government money. I have never, since 2015 till now, and I have no reason, and I will not have any reason.
Jide, at a time like this, you expect things like this.
It's
number one
been
I
going
said-
on for so long.
Yeah.
The old man was frustrated in coming out to say this. You know, some time ago, he also looked at governors. He said, I wonder how these governors go to bed, knowing that they are owing people salaries for upwards of 6 months, 7 months. So the president said he was wondering how they even managed to go to bed, because it should nettle you sufficiently that your subjects, you are unable to pay their salary. It should withdraw your own sleep. So the president is right. Long after this president is gone, some of these issues that he tried on his own to solve, even coming up with the executive order to try to solve this problem, people will remember the role that he played. You can abuse you all you want. A lot of the people abusing him are not half as good as he is. But he's someone who cares about the poor people. And he does not like to see poor people suffer. He may not have solved all the problems that he said he would solve.
Yeah.
But he tried to solve this problem. But governors,
They went to court.
governors using the state assemblies that they have firmly in their pockets have ensured that we do not have autonomy for local councils.
Yeah.
We are in the age in which a governor will sit somewhere and decide who will be speaker in the state. And the three organs of government are supposed to be
Be
independent of each other.
Yeah.
But it's the governors who are choosing speakers.
Even chief judges.
It's governors who are choosing speakers. I know that NJC has a role in chief judge picking. If governors could choose chief judges at will, Amechi will have succeeded in Rivers. And for about a year, the judiciary was locked up because he didn't have his way. Now, the point that I'm making, governors need the funds from the councils. They came up this idea of joint accounts. They strip councils.
You think the joint account or gambit was a trap?
It's more than a trap.
Okay.
It's more than a trap. Because there was a particular chairman, I won't mention where he is. Once he got his own allocation for the month, he burst into tears. that he's looking at me. I know it's what he knows that I know.
He knows that you know.
Yes.
That he
He
knows.
burst into tears. This same issue, even in Kwara, a local government chairman stood up to Bukola Saraki over this matter. He got the chairman suspended. The chairman went to court. That's from the Gbomino area.
Yeah.
The chairman went to court, defeated him in court. But he made sure, he hung on until he left office. He made sure that that chairman didn't get back to office.
Oh,
this is what governors do in our country. When we're talking about the need for restructuring, this is part of what we need to see. That governors will stay in their lane. You know, let the councils run at their own pace.
Independently of state government.
Yes, if some governors can allow it to happen, because I know that Wike is boasting about what he does. El-Rufai too has boasted before that he will never touch the funds of the councils. But some governors can boast. So as the president was saying that, I know that their conscience was being troubled as the president was speaking. And how many of them can bang the lantern the way Wike was banging it to say, I've never touched? How many of them can do that? If they give them the holy book to swear with, they won't be able to swear.
Emeka,
and I know even after this program, one or two of them will call me to say, why are you dabbling into this? I'm telling you, because this is not the first time we discussed this, and there was a pushback.
Yeah.
Maybe now that I'm saying it,
I remember that my state governor was the first to go to court when he reeled out that executive order, meaning to let local government council be independent of their...
They went to court, and I think they won in court.
Yeah.
But what does the Constitution say? Let's just follow the Constitution.
Emeka, at what point did we drop the ball, and who dropped it?
Well, you know, local government administration has been a major issue since independence. Even during the military, there were attempts at reforming the local government. But unfortunately, going to the Fourth Republic, the Constitution just basically handed the local governments to the states. Now we need that clear separation. But the governors are afraid that if the council stand on their own, that means they have lost the control. Control. They will just be, well, I can't just imagine, but it's going to be, it's not something to just think about.
Like, if you are a popular team captain, you shouldn't be afraid of the players.
That is where the problem comes in. If they were managing the councils well, they were not stealing the funds of the local government funds, then you could just probably say that, okay, states should continue to control local governments. But what you find is that the states are the state governors are the ones destroying the local government. So all they do is just load the local governments with all kinds of workers, both duly employed and unemployed. From traditional rulers, from politicians and all that, some of these people you see on the streets with spikes, harassing motorists, harassing drivers of commercial vehicles and all that. There was one that I ran into one time, and he said, we don't get salary. Is this work we do? That it is from it. That, wow. You know, it's from this work. No, the person actually that called me was in Ogun State. He told me, he said, we are recommended by traditional rulers and politicians. That is where we make money.
Maybe the man is watching you.
Oh, well, of course, that's his business. But the thing is this, the local government should not run that way. I said it. There was a time I challenged some local government workers in a market. They were going about collecting shop fees. And I saw one of them, the supervisor. She was carrying money, cash, this way. She was carrying cash this way. And I said, what kind of primitive behavior is this? Is it that you cannot tell these people to go and pay it? They said, forget that story. Pay into which account? When had to make a payment for something. They gave me a personal account. that, you know, when this money for this particular charge comes, then we now know how to make proper record and remit. So when the governors take their own, even at the local governments, they're also doing their own.
Okay. Jide, are you saying that the electors, the governed, don't have a part to play here in fixing the, correcting the imbalance?
As long as this joint accounting
Is in place
is, if they receive their money
directly.
like first line charge directly from the Accountant General of the Federation, this whole thing is gone. This whole thing won't happen again.
But won't the governors hijack them, even if they get it? Won't they?
No, you see, because I remember at that time when the president was pushing for this executive order thing, it was one of the stipulations was that their funds should go directly to them, same as the funds of the judiciary go directly to the heads of the judiciary, which is the chief judge of the state. That way, no one can have access to their funds. But what do we have? The kind of system that we have in place, you had even the CJN complaining that up till now, we do not have independence.
That's it.
Judges have to go and beg governors. A governor will keep a judge waiting at his lobby for hours just for them to have access to funds that they need to fix air conditioners in some place, to renovate the judicial complex. Meanwhile, the funds should actually have been going directly to them.
Judicial Service Commission.
Yes. So, but
do you know,
they have to beg governors.
Listening to you makes me feel I'm watching a poorly produced horror film.
No, you see, a horror film doesn't have to be poorly produced. A horror film is a horror film.
Horrifying.
It's not something that will smell like roses to you.
Yeah.
It's something that will horrify you.
Hi.
You know, to the point of probably just running to hide under your bed.
So it's a well-produced horror film.
Yes, a well-produced horror film. That's what you are watching. It is that bad.
Oh, boy.
It is that bad. It is that bad. The president tried to solve this problem. But I remember that the governors at that time, led by Kaudi Fahimi and my friend in Sokoto State, Tambua, they didn't like it. They even sought audience with the president to say, why now? Why are you coming up with this?
Why you want rock boat?
And I was shocked. You know, the way you ask yourself, sure, why meaning? What is it that this very definitive issue is what you went to the president to be harassing him for? You know, many times when the president tries to take, let me say sometimes, so that it doesn't look like an exaggeration, even though exaggeration is a figure of speech. Sometimes when the president tries to take some very bold, very big decisions, you just hear that governors have visited him.
Of course.
You know how many times
Admit
they
that.
just to push back.
At
Don't do
midnight.
this now. Don't do this to us. Don't do this. But the law is clear. Read out the Constitution. Read what is in the Constitution. You have no business touching the funds of the councils.
governments, yeah.
You have no business. So if somebody try to fix that situation by coming up with an executive order,
Let the debate
why
continue.
should you?
Let the debate continue. But, Mr. Governor, I'm wondering, as Jide popped the question, how many of them can speak that, you know,
The way we spoke.
They should leave local government funds alone. Governors, leave local government funds
They
alone.
won't. They won't.
Okay.
That's what we're saying.
All right. So to our next story. Now, you know, for people who live by politics and die for it, there should be no finesse in the language of campaigns. In spite of the provisions of the Electoral Act 2022 that prescribes punishment for campaign of calumny, many parties and candidates are still indulging in it. Yet the electoral umpire, INEC, is yet to apply the big stick. 3 political parties, the APC, the PDP, and Labour Party, are locked in claims and counterclaims over non-adherence to issue-based campaigns. Question, Emeka, will INEC back and bite for once?
Well, I think that should actually be the function of the Electoral Offences Commission, which is still mired in politics of legislation. When that commission is set up, duly set up, it should be in a position to deal with many infractions. But also,
Are you saying the infractions are going ahead because it is
no,
not set up?
partly because of that. Because you must have the legal teeth to bite. Then you also need advocacy. The National Orientation Agency, for practical purposes, is not there. It's dead. So you need to clearly teach the people, teach politicians, teach the parties, because Nigeria is in a mess. A lot of things are not in place. So it's better we deal with, we've talked about the issue of insecurity. How will the candidates deal with the issue of insecurity? I think that's more important than whether the candidate is light complexioned or dark, or is putting on dark shoes or shoes of another hue. We have enough issues to deal with. Issues of, all some of these issues that have occupied us are not necessary. They're just a distraction, because where is the fuel? You can't even get fuel to buy. A bag of rice, we know how much it is right now. Some states are not paying minimum wage. I'm talking of the old minimum wage of 18,000. People are suffering. So if we like, we can keep dancing around inconsequential issues. The hunger will only continue to bite harder, and it will not do any of us any good.
Well, Gidi, I'm sure you can recall with, they say memory is very unkind to an old man. There was a time in this country when the soapbox was colorful. We had politicians. You wanted to hear politicians,
Yes.
but not anymore.
Yes.
The Mbadiways, the Zigs.
Yes, K.O. Mbadiwe.
The political juggernauts.
So many of them. The Bola Ige.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever Bola Ige said,
Cicero.
we held on to it.
Yes. Yes.
It was Bola Ige that came up with what we refer to today as 5 fingers of a leprous hand.
Leprous hand, yeah.
He used it to describe Abacha's 5 political parties.
Yeah.
For the 5 fingers of a leprous hand. Then the issue of the popular saying, settlement syndrome.
Settlements, yeah.
It was also Bola Ige that came up with it. So we had so many of them at that time. People that you like reading them, people that you like listening to them. You
remember in Mbadiwe, when the comes to become.
To become, yes. I remember the MPN during their campaigns. One of them at that time, I've forgotten his name. He said, "We have come today to acknowledge competence." The sheer arrogance, that was an orator standing on the soapbox. Even before speaking, you see him oozing arrogance because they were the ruling party.
Yeah.
He wanted that to sink.
Yeah.
So that glamour, who is the politician today that you just enjoy watching him speak? Even the tribe of orators is dying. It's dying. There are very few people. The Nigerian politician is busy himself simply abusing people.
That's it.
I mean, it's a very responsible thing to do. You go to a TV station and the anchor will be battling to keep you to behave yourself. Because, look.
Yet you keep flying off the handle.
The anchor will be battling to stop you from demonstrating tendencies that clearly show that your training was not good enough. Because if an adult behaves like a child, it means that something was wrong with the way he was brought up. Maybe he had great parents, disciplinarians, but he just chose not to listen. I wonder how these politicians want children to view them.
Oh, yeah.
Because they are setting the wrong example. Some of the things that we are hearing on TV, it makes no sense. And all the parties are guilty. It's just on a few occasions that you hear a politician say, no, let's not go into that. Let's focus on what
we are here to do.
on what my candidate can do.
Yeah.
There was a spokesperson who went on air the other day, and I had to call him to say, this is the way to play this game. You redirected the conversation to what your candidate has got to offer, not to be abusing people. Even as early as yesterday, somebody was talking about Oshomole's genitalia. Should that be what we'll be talking about? That, oh, even prostitutes in Benin, they are familiar with him. All sort of nasty things that you don't expect to hear on TV. There was another one, again, that went, if you see some of the things that he was saying. And I'm like, what's going on? This particular election, the electoral season, in terms of what we've been hearing on social media, in terms of what politicians have been going to TV stations to say, frankly, in my adult life, I've never seen anything like this. And there has to be a way to keep these irresponsible politicians in check. People can't just simply go to TV stations and say what they like. Fake news, all kinds of things. Things that you cannot prove. You go on air to say it because you know that, oh, so many people are listening. So you want to quickly lie because you know that many people are listening to you. And I think it should get to a point when some time ago, NBC walked into a TV station to work out a politician who was saying absolute rubbish on air.
That's it. That's it.
Yes, and it's not long ago. I think maybe pre-2015 or something. He walked into the studio and bounced that errant politician. It should happen. If things continue like this, I expect Ilela, who heads NBC, and his men, his enforcement people, to take that kind of decision now. If you can see, if you are watching a program, because they have monitors, they are watching everything that we are doing, everything we are saying. If you are watching an irresponsible politician say all kinds of nasty things, and you know that people are listening, things that can set our country ablaze, you have the power to walk into that TV station and walk out that politician with the aberrant behavior. It has to happen.
Emeka, with copious apologies to Professor Chinua Achebe, bless his soul, there was a country in this country.
Yeah,
there was a time people look forward to the soapbox.
But we don't belong to the jungle. We must still build a country. Let me just quickly commend the president of Nigerian Guild of Editors, Mustafa Issa.
Yeah.
At a recent event, he told journalists, he told the media, you are not under any obligation to report incendiary comments by politicians or their spokespersons. He said it. Mustafa Issa is on record. So even the media has a role to play.
Yeah.
When a politician says certain things, you don't have to help, to amplify it. Because, you have the greater power. The politician just talks and goes away. But you push it out on social media, it's on the internet, and then people continue to share these things, and it's not helping. Politicians can get...
Our colleagues must help.
Politicians can get carried away.
But if you as an anchor, as an anchor, somebody can just, you are not expecting it. You are interviewing a man, you are interviewing a politician that you thought was responsible.
Yeah.
And
he flies up.
And then he says something. It's like the word of mouth is like an arrow's bow.
Yeah.
Once it goes out, you can't bring it back. And he says that, and you are there nonplussed. Angry with yourself that, how can I be a party to this sort of thing?
By training, you are supposed to whip him into line.
Yes, but you see, you don't even want to hear that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
You can really be embarrassed. There was a situation, too, that warranted going on a break. And then the man was told, look, if you continue like this, we'll walk you out.
That's it.
I mean, these are TV stations, if they too are not part of this whole nonsense should be able to tell a guest that, look, if this continues, we end this.
Let's end on this note. The offenders risk 6 months in jail. Aren't you waiting to see the
Well,
first?
with an option of fine. The fine is something, it's cheating to them.
It's just like spraying Naira notes.
Yes,
with an option of 50,000 Naira.
It's an option of fine. If you remove that option of fine, then
People will
they will sit up. But with an option of fine, that is not a lot of money to them.
They will load their
When somebody
pockets
once said that that people should come and take 1 million naira to buy Mr. Biggs. Is a politician saying that publicly? Is 1 million, all of 1 million, is that what you use to buy Mr. Biggs?
Or that what money cannot do.
And you know the person that I'm talking about?
I don't know. Okay, I don't know Buko.
I know the person he's talking about.
Because it's not far away from you.
It's not, yeah, that is correct.
All right, this is where we call it a day. Thank you. As I said at the beginning, 23 days to Christmas. You are thinking Christmas, and why not? But again, federal government says language of instruction at the primary school level must be in the mother tongue. Please help promote that. We can make the most of that. Let me thank BKO for your time.
Thank you.
Emeka, many thanks too.
Thank you very much.
And of course, on behalf of the Backroom Boys, I say thank you for watching. Of course, if you missed this program, join us at 11 tonight for our repeat broadcast. And don't forget the Sunday edition from 1:30 to 3:30. It's an expanded edition for you. We are also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Citizen Jones Usen. Bye-bye now. Enjoy your weekend.
In the month of December, on the 1st, it is World AIDS Day. On the 3rd, attention shifts to persons living with disabilities. And December 9th is dedicated to International Anti-Corruption Day. 10th is Human Rights Day, while the 11th is the 2nd anniversary of the abduction of over 300 students in Kankara, Katsina State. On the 12th of December, the World Health Organization dedicates the day as Universal Health Coverage Day. On the 17th of December, the abducted Kankara boys were freed 6 days after. 18th of December is set aside as International Migrants Day. It is the last month of the year. Brace yourself for an interesting December. Stay with TVC News. Monkeypox is caused by a virus of same name that is closely related to now eradicated smallpox. The likely symptoms of monkeypox are fever, headache, muscle aches, back pain, low energy, rash, swollen lymph nodes, among others. How does the monkeypox virus get spread? You can get the virus through close contact with an infected person and also through physical contact with an infected animal. To get monkeypox treatment, you need to see a physician. Here are the steps to protect yourself from monkeypox virus. Step 1. Avoid close contact with suspected or confirmed monkeypox cases. Step 2. Avoid physical touch with animals who could be infected. Step 3. Frequently clean and disinfect environments that could have been contaminated. We all need to join hands together to protect ourselves from this virus. This campaign is brought to you by TVC Communication.
Kano State is not just the commercial capital of northern Nigeria. It is the seat of an ancient kingdom that has thrived for more than 1,000 years. It's home to people with a proud and glorious heritage, a dynamic and thriving state. Let's take you on a weekly ride through Kano to see how Governor Abdullahi Ganduje is making steady strides through infrastructure development, education reform, quality and affordable healthcare, urban rejuvenation, human capital development, and more. Kano Spotlight, Friday, 9:30 p.m. on TVC News.
So, all in favor say aye. Those against, no. The ayes have it.
What do you know about the legislature? its role in governance, and as one of the three arms of government. Lagos Parliament is here to bring it to you as it is. Here to bring you every detail you need to know about the legislature in Africa's most populous city. On Lagos Parliament to get a chance to meet the lawmaker of the week. Events are critically reviewed. You can also observe plenary in Yoruba language. I am Abimbola Agbebi. Join me every Friday at 9 p.m. as I take you through the activities of the legislature.
It's always a great morning on the TVC Breakfast Show.
Thanks for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
With the array of stories that matter and what's behind them.
As you say, the first blow indicates the direction of government.
Tell us what really is going on between your union and the federal government.
Once it's generated,
if you don't use it, it's waste. We are not even sure whether we have a strategy for security.
Are you saying that there was nothing wrong in that?
Was he the one driving the taxi?
Answer the question.
Reveal your morning with all you need to know.
Like
yes, just mundane lyrics.
Yes.
How does that fit into your scheme of events or duties right now?
No chief of staff, no general has the right to call a governor to order. The governor has been elected by his people.
Start your day right, because this is the breakfast show that adds to your breakfast. TVC Breakfast, weekdays at 7 a.m. only on TVC News.
At TVC News, wherever the big news story is happening, we're geared up to break it. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Hello and welcome to TVC News at 6. We are staying in the nation's capital, where the presidency says a total sum of 625.43 billion naira was paid to 9 oil-producing states in the country as refunds for 13% oil derivation, subsidy and Shopee from 1999 to 2021. The payments approved by President Muhammadu Buhari were effected between 2021 and 2022. Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, in a statement said Abia, Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, Cross River, Delta, Edo, Imo, Ondo, and River States received the funds. The presidential spokesman noted that the states were paid in 8 installments between the 2nd of October 2021 and 11th of January 2022, while the 9th to 12th installments are still outstanding. In the meantime, the Akwa Ibom branch of the Civil Liberties Organization has reacted to the refund of arrears of the deducted 13% derivation funds to the government of Akwa Ibom State by the federal government. Chairman of the organization, Franklin Isong, described the outburst as unnecessary and distracting after investigating what the government used the funds for in the state. He warned against any situation that can lead to reenactments of the 2021 pre- and post-electoral violence, where many lives were lost and properties worth millions of naira destroyed.
CLO observes with dismay that some politicians in the state are attempting to make political capital out of the statement credited to Governor Nyesom Wike of Rivers State on the 13% derivation fund arrears refunded to the state by the federal government through deliberate misinformation and misrepresentation of the fact in issues in a manner that is capable of fueling unrest and derailing the cause of governance, peace, and security in Akwa Ibom State.
Let's have more insight into this by speaking with the chairman, Akwa Ibom branch of the Civil Liberties Organization, Franklin Isong, who is joining me via Zoom. Thank you so much for joining us. on TVC News this hour. Well, you were trying to say that that was a misrepresentation of fact, and that could lead to what happened, during 2011, pre and post electoral violence. Could you expatiate what message you were trying to pass there?
Okay, thank you so much for bringing me live on your program today. What the CLO was simply saying was that the politicians in the state have, catch into the issue and then hit up the politics. And if you were in Akwa Ibom or you followed the political activities in Akwa Ibom State in 2011, you would have, witnessed the mayhem that took place, the pre and post-election violence that we had in the state that led to the, several lives being wasted, properties worth hundreds of millions of naira being, destroyed. And at the end of the day, the state wasn't put in a good light. And so what the CLO is simply saying is that there is no need to hit up the politics. Politicians should go about their campaign and campaign based on their manifestos, sell themselves out to the people of the state to gain their vote. Now, on the issue of the 30% derivation fund refunds to the state, the CLO had the following public hearing and budget defense in the state, and the 30% derivation refund was captured in the 2021 budget in the state. That is a law that was signed into law, and then in the 2022 budget, it was also captured as part of the sources of revenue that came into the state. And it was also captured in the state Accountant General's report that was approved by the House of Assembly in 2021. And so what we are simply saying is that these facts are there. And so there is no need to hit up the polity. Let us allow the governance to continue in the state while politicking continue. Our interest is that governance should not be disrupted by the issues generated by the 30% derivation.
Well, Mr. Isong
was refunded to the state.
Mr. Isong, do you think this is quite political, or rather trying to make people aware, the citizens aware of the role of the executive, in ensuring that the 13% derivation funds were actually, sent back to all of these states? Do you think this is more political? And then the question people are asking that if the CLO is holding brief for the government, who then will hold the government accountable? Because you're saying that it is very certain that all of these things were judiciously utilized. Is that the point you're making?
First, let me start with the issue that the person asked if CLO is holding brief for the government. CLO is not holding brief for government. CLO believes in accountability, in probity, and transparency. What we did in March, between March to June, 3 months, was to go around the states to hold the government accountable by checking the governors, the project that the government had attracted. Because when we heard that funds were refunded to the state in the budget of the state in 2021, CLO now went to the state, go around the entire government and confirm and check what was going on. And the report of our findings was made in the public that this is what CLO has been able to cross-check, to check in terms of in terms of what has been so far done by the government. So CLO is not holding brief. CLO has been very vocal. We come out to tell the government, this is what we are doing wrong, and this is what we are doing right. And so, but our concern in this particular issue is that the issue is now being used to hit up the polity. It's making the state to look tense. Akwa Ibom State is one of the most peaceful states in Nigeria so far. And if we begin to allow this issue to linger, it could lead to a point where violence could erupt. And so what the CLO is saying is that while the politics can go on, the governance should be allowed, shouldn't be disrupted. The government had made their defense and put it in the public space. But what we are saying is that in 2021 budget, this issue, this derivation fund reform was captured in the budget, and the budget is a public document which is there, and we saw it, and we'll be following it in 2022. It was also captured, and it's also repeated again in the current budget of 2023, which is lying before the House of Assembly. So for us in CLO, we are saying that We can hold our government accountable by getting this document, go to the street, begin to cross-check the government project like we did in 3 months, going around the entire state and fast-tracking the government project and coming out to say this one is not right, this one is right. But begin to politicize the issue, it could lead to violence that we don't want in Akwa Ibom State.
All right, the government actually is trying to heat up the polity, but then one is just also wondering why the government is also keeping mute, after making some of these claims. But in reality, you must have heard that it's been said, okay, flyovers have been done, bridges have been built that are taking you nowhere. And then in the rural areas, about 90% of what we consume in the urban areas are actually from the rural areas. Whereas what we are doing are mainly in the urban areas, whereas it's only 60% of what is being produced in the rural areas get to the urban areas. So how has this benefited the people who are far away, or the entire citizens, especially in the state that you are?
That is why it is good for the media and the society group to always go down to the street. Don't just hang on social media to begin to use whatever you see there, take it hook, line, and sinker. The CLO went around the nooks and crannies of the state, into all government areas, to cross-check this project in the rural areas. Our happiness is that our report is made in the public domain, and we are able to inspect over 55 roads projects across the length and breadth of the state, and these are in the rural areas and the urban cities. So for us, we're not holding brief for the government. At the end of this government, we will come out to say, this is what you have received. We now match it with projects, and then see if there is any fraud anywhere, or if there is no transparency. At that point, we can come out to say, yes, you have to explain to us where our funds are. For us in CLO, we intend to continue to hold the government accountable by going to verify this government project, begin to document them out, and then list them out for the public to see what the government is doing with our public funds.
All right, Mr. Isong, before I let you go, just like I said a little earlier, that it does appear that you're holding brief, which you said the CLO is not. But then why then do you think the Akwa Ibom State government actually kept mute until the presidency actually made this known to the people?
Well, I am not speaking for the government. I wouldn't know why the government kept mute. But like I have said, that this particular issue was captured in the budget of the state. Budget for us, the public document, and the government has a budget website where budget is being posted online for anybody to access. Still is not holding brief for the government. Still is not speaking for the government. We are saying the issue should not lead to violence that will consume the state, because we know what we went through in 2011 in this state. And if you allow this to continue like this, it could lead to insecurity, it could lead to violence that affects persons who don't even have business in politics. Politics is not the only thing we have in our country. We have people who are doing their own private businesses.
We'll continue to explore all possible ways to make this quite understandable by a lot of people who are asking a lot of questions as regards these 13% derivation funds and ensuring accountability. Civil Liberties, the chairman, Akwa Ibom branch of the Civil Liberties Organization, Franklin Isong, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
In other matters, President Muhammadu Buhari has criticized state governors for the institutional corruption in the local government system. This is said inhibits development at the grassroots. The president spoke at the State House, Abuja, during a parley with members of the Senior Executive Course 44 of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, Kuru. TVC News State House correspondent Femi Akonde reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari was blunt as he directly blamed state governors for the poor rate of development at the local government level. The president is not happy that the efforts made to strengthen local government administration in the country through an executive order was truncated by judicial processes. Mr. President wants all public office holders to be guided by their conscience. He also promised that the recommendation in the NIPSS report will be implemented.
Money for the salaries will be given and the balance will put in his pocket. This was happening. This is Nigeria. It's a terrible thing. You cannot say the person who was doing this was not educated. He was a qualified lawyer. He was experienced. Yet he participated in this type of corruption. So it's a matter of conscience. Whichever level we find ourselves, that you need us to sit here with all the sacrifices the country is making by putting you through institutions and getting you ready to lead. The fundamental thing is personal integrity. May God help us.
The report of the Senior Executive Course 44 recommends that for Nigeria to manage most of the challenges currently facing the country, it must strengthen governance at the grassroots and eradicate corruption.
Your resolve to achieve zero tolerance in corruption is a struggle that we as a nation cannot abandon if we must prosper. The national and global support given to your administration is a huge opportunity to be leveraged on.
President Buhari congratulated the members of the Senior Executive Course 44 on the successful completion of their course and promised that his administration will continue to support the activities of the National Institute of Policy and Strategic Studies. Femi Akonde, TVC News, Abuja.
Meanwhile, the governors of Rivers and Benue States, Nyesom Wike and Samuel Otom, have challenged President Muhammadu Buhari to expose governors responsible for stealing local government funds. The governors threw the challenge today during the inauguration of the Ungbo Simini internal roads in River State. Governor Wike denied ever taking funds meant for the local government since he assumed office as governor in 2015 and therefore challenged the president to name governors involved in the act.
I want to challenge Mr. President. Mr. President, you're a leader, and we believe as leaders, you must come out and tell Nigerians who are those committing this offense. You said the governors are taking local government funds. I want to say, in the name of Almighty God, I've never touched local government fund one day. I have never, and I have no reason to do that. So, Mr. President, tell us who are those people. You know them, tell us.
It is a logical fallacy to say that all governors are criminals. All governors are stealing from local governments. I joined Governor Wike to say it from 2015. Let EFCC come in. Let ICPC come. Let every other agency that can unearth this, as far as Benue State is concerned, let them bring it out. So that we know the people, there is no point generalizing that all of us are evil people. I don't do it.
And now to election matters, the Nasarawa State Governor has solicited the support of the people of total local government area of the state ahead of the 2023 governorship election. The governor sought the support at the commencement of a statewide campaign in the council, where he assured them of more developmental projects in the council if re-elected. We'll bring you that report immediately after this break.
I miss them.
Well, they should be on their way by now.
Will it feel like it used to? With everyone so busy these days.
It will be fine.
Suddenly, feels like I'm gonna fall. I can see all of my dreams so perfectly.
Oh, yeah, line up. Single file.
Love's not a dream at all. Somebody.
Grandpa, what was Grandma like?
She always found ways to bring us all together. It took me a while
to discover how she does it.
Devon Kings, taste that brings us all together.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, the Nasarawa state government has solicited the support of the people of Total Local Government area of the state ahead of the 2023 governorship election. Our correspondent, Godwin Agwam, reports on this.
The campaign is tuned into a day of jubilation for supporters of the All Progressives Congress in Total Local Government as party bigwigs converge. The National State Governor is attending this rally alongside the national chairman of the party and top leaders of the state. The governor is here to solicit for the support of Total Local Government for his re-election bid. He reminds supporters of the successes of his administration and promises to do more when he eventually returns to office.
And I want to use the opportunity to thank all our major stakeholders who have continued to give maximum support to this political party. I want to thank the youth, I want to thank the women, and I want to assure you that by the grace of God, whatever we have done before, we will do even more in the next 4 years.
Leaders of the party in the state and national level believe the governor has performed to expectation and deserves to be returned. The people of Total Local Government are sure of their unflinching support for the re-election bid of the governor.
But their calm way of rewarding you for what you have done for us is to give you a blood vote. Therefore, we do not have any other aspirant as far as Nasarawa State governorship election is concerned.
We are fully committed to APC journey to delivering Engineer A. Sule, to equally delivering our grand president in advance, God willing, Senator Ahmed Bola Tinubu.
This mammoth crowd portrays the love and support the governor enjoys as he journeys across the state for re-election. Godwin Agwam, TVC News, Toto.
In Ogun State, a group known as the City Boy Ambassadors have inaugurated their leaders at all levels ahead of the 2023 general election. They described Asiwaju Bola Tinubu as the candidate with the best track record to lead Nigeria. They want Nigerians to join in spreading the message of hope that Asiwaju Tinubu is a good